The spice category is taking over bookstores. But what do teen readers actually think? Well, today I interview 3 Gen Z bookworms about the evolution of YA and adult fiction, the smut trend, and what authors are getting wrong. Welcome to the School to Homeschool podcast.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I am very excited for today's episode. I'm doing something very different than I usually do. And so today I've got Katie, Cherise, and Emily. They are 3 teenage girls who have very strong opinions about what's been going on in literature for young adults today. Girls, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
Ladies.
of course. Thank you.
So Katie was initially the one. Katie's my daughter.
Hi.
She's turning 18 very soon. Cherise, you are how old?
I'm 18.
And Emily, how old are you?
I'm 19.
Okay, so, and all 3 of you are readers.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Big readers.
Oh, yeah.
And you were all homeschooled.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, and we pulled you in middle school. So Katie, Katie approached me earlier this week and said, Mom, I am so mad and I've got an opinion and I want to talk about something, and can we talk about it on the podcast? And I felt like as parents, this is something that we need to be aware of. And so Katie, let's talk about what was bothering you that you wanted to talk about.
Well, I was on Pinterest the other day. I know I have it. But I was just looking at some things, and it's interesting because there's so much spice in books, and it's getting very annoying because I can't pick up a book and be like, oh, I want to read this. I have to look it up, look what's in it, and it gets very annoying and exhausting because I want to be clean with my reading.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So one of the things that has come to my attention over the last couple of years is where boys are targeted with visual corn. Girls are being targeted as young as 11 and 12 through young adult fiction with corn. We'll use that so that I don't get censored, redacted. But it's through literature that girls are being targeted, they're being groomed, and I feel like being sexualized. And so let's talk about this for a second. What have you noticed over the last few years since you started reading? When did you guys start noticing spice? Because this is all new to me in the last year. So let's talk about you girls. What do you think?
I think once you start getting out of the not even YA, you'd think that for YA, the standard should be it's clean. And then if you go, for some reason, you're looking for spice, you go up in reading level, right?
Mm-hmm.
But once I started getting out of 10-year-old basic chapter books, it was there immediately. It was right off the bat when you're getting into YA, it's something you have to look for.
So, which is really sad because it's in the teen sections of the library, correct?
Yeah. Well, and it's not separated at all. You can have YA that's completely clean and they make eye contact. Or you could have YA that's really not at all what you want to be reading, and you can't tell the difference.
Yeah, because it's explicit. And does it ever show it on the cover or say it on the cover that it's going to be explicit or spicy?
Just to clarify, the YA range is 12 to 18. That's a big range.
That is a big range. And especially when you think about adult content being put into a book for a 12-year-old, this is not Anne of Green Gables anymore. We are dealing with spice. Let's talk about some of the terms that are used especially for you moms that have younger kids that don't have teens yet. There's certain terms that are used that are used commonly, but they're not used on the cover of the book to know. But things like open door, closed door, spice. Open door means that there will be explicit. There's explicit stuff in it. So if you ask somebody is this clean, and somebody says this is open door, then know that there will be explicit content. If it's closed door, then they allude to content, but they don't necessarily
it's either allude or a fade to black.
Yeah. Right. Type of situation.
So you know what happened, but it ends before it gets real graphic.
And it's also the type of thing that if it is a younger kid, it will go over their head. So that just depends on how much you want. like what their level of understanding is.
Yeah.
Okay, so Katie and I were at Walmart today, and we went through the bookshelves. And let's talk about some of the books that we saw, and y'all please share when you hear the books. And if you've heard of them, let's talk about it.
So there are so many books, and these aren't necessarily YA books, but they are books that I have heard of 12-year-olds reading, and they are so bad. Things like Fourth Wing. It's a fantasy book about dragons. And so you hear dragons and you're like, oh, that sounds so
cute.
cool.
So sweet and wonderful.
It sounds
And
adventurous.
Yeah.
And all these books are in the stores because they're popular, and they're popular on YouTube and TikTok. And so if your child sees something on this and they're like, oh, that book looks so fun, you always have to be aware of what they're reading. So there's like Fourth Wing.
So have you noticed any books where, because I've seen this happen, where the series starts out really good, and then like all of a sudden it's clean, and then book 3, all of a sudden, wait,
Yes.
what?
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that?
Yes, absolutely.
So is that something that parents need to be aware of?
yes,
Yep,
yes.
definitely.
Can you give me some examples of some series that are like that?
Off the top of my head, I think the Shatter Me series, the first like maybe 1 and maybe 2, but once you hit like book 3, it's almost like a gimmick. They're like, well, what else can we add? How else can we keep the romance interesting? That's what they resort to after they run out of
I did,
storyline.
because I really enjoyed that
Right.
series. Like, I read the first book and wow,
it
this
was
is
great.
so good. And
Yeah.
then I got farther in and I was like, I was told this is a clean series. You'll get told it's a clean series if the first book is clean.
Yeah, and then that can switch, but do they switch to saying, oh, it's not a clean series after all, or do
No.
they just keep it as a clean series?
No, because if
A lot of the times I'll start reading a series, like I actually just read Cruel Prince, but it was very popular for a while, and so I decided to read it because I heard it was good. And the first book was pretty clean, and then I kept going, and it started to get a little bit spicy, and I was like,
Get a little weird.
I was told this is a young adult clean book, and the first one was, but the rest of the series is not. Yeah.
So what are some things that you look for, because none of you like reading spice, right? What do you look for when you're trying to avoid books with spice? And so that's the first question, but number 2 is, does everyone have the same opinions about what spice is versus not spice? So let's
Good
talk about
question.
what you look for first, and then let's get into the second question.
So if you're already reading a book and you don't know, I'd say look for the languages it uses, because there are some books that you'll be like, this language sounds really interesting. Like, why would they mention the pants being tight? I don't know.
Right.
Weird, like weird stuff like that. Like, my mom was reading a book and she found it on Facebook, and she's like, oh, it says like these people said, oh, it was a very cute book, very clean. It was like Jane Austen era style, and we were listening to it on Audible, and it got to a scene and it was detailed, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, we're like, oh my goodness.
But like, I had been noticing some things, and I was like, maybe it won't, but like, there was definitely signs in the book. I definitely did not want to finish it afterwards. Ugh.
So book publishers, do you hear this? This is 3 teenage girls who are trying to let us know we want clean still. We still want Pride and Prejudice.
Right.
We still want Anne of Green Gables. We still want those things because they still enlighten our hearts.
Right.
So keep going with more ways. And I've actually got some questions as far as, do these words matter? But we'll get to that in a second. What other things do you look for when you're trying to avoid the spice?
Well, I always read reviews just because the books they'll never disclose it. So when I'm reading reviews, sometimes, unless you look up like parent guide, oftentimes they won't talk about how explicit it is. But if it's compared to something like, I read books where I saw reviews, it was compared to Bridgerton. Like, you know that that's not something I would watch or consume. So if it's compared to that, it's also probably not within line with what I want to read. Gotcha. So reading reviews is kind of the only thing I've found that
Is that the actual website? Is it called? Read
No.
Reviews?
I read reviews.
Okay. Oh, you read. Gotcha.
When I read reviews,
Yeah.
I just Google like the book title and parent guide, and you'll get, if it's a popular book, you'll get a lot of sites. I don't know off the top of my head what they are, but like mom blogs, or I think, does Common Sense do
Common
book
Sense.
reviews?
I don't.
Maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know either.
Potentially.
Goodreads. My problem is I look on Goodreads for if a book is good, and then I'll read other reviews from other sites for how explicit it is, because Goodreads just doesn't have.
Goodreads doesn't tell you.
They
Not
won't
really.
tell you.
Now, do you do this with every book now at this point?
It's gotten to a point where if I don't have like a recommendation from someone who I trust to not recommend something like that to me, I have to do more research. It also does depend on the genre. Like if I'm reading something YA, unfortunately, that's like a flag of like, oh, if it's YA, there could be spice. Fantasy stuff often has spice in it. If I'm reading like a thriller type book, I'm a little more careful with it. But there are books out there where it's like, oh, it was supposed to be mystery, and all of a sudden we're taking clothes off, like that wasn't necessary to the plot at all. So I think if you're really trying to avoid it, the only thing to do is read reviews, because they don't tell you. It's not important to most people to flag that, unfortunately.
Right.
And how about you, Emily? What do you look for?
Well, now that I've gotten to read a lot of books, I can kind of tell by the cover. And a lot of them, sadly, are so innocent. They're just, it's a cute romance, and they're, it's very, what's the word?
Cartoony?
Yeah.
Or floral?
Right. So after reading a ton of books, you get to know, like, okay, this is spicy just because of the cover. Or when you read the backs, sometimes there'll be like hint words, like it will say like it gets spicy or steamy.
Steamy. Steamy is a lot.
If you see the word steamy, don't read the book.
Yeah.
Like
it'll have spice.
It's steamy.
That's a really good keyword.
Yeah. So let's talk about, because not everyone, and this is what I learned on Facebook. I was like, I want like a Jane Austen type of a book.
Right.
And so people are like, oh my gosh, this book is so great. And we got into reading it, and lo and behold, I was like, oh, like my kids are in the car. And I was like, okay, and stop. I realized that not everybody on the internet has the same values or looks at things the same as me. And there is some amount of shaming, like if you're like, I don't really like spice, and people then are like, do you like to censor? Have you noticed that?
Yes, for sure.
Where there's a little bit of like backlash if you say, I don't like this.
Yeah. They get so defensive. Like they're like, it's my personal opinion, and you're just too innocent or something, like wild stuff like that.
Well, and it's a culture thing. Like unfortunately, we've gotten to the point where not wanting to expose kids to that is going against the grain, which is just really sad.
That is very sad.
Or I'll give a thing, it's not corn because you're not physically watching it. That's not true. It's still, you're still putting these things in your brain.
Especially for women, it's targeted.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is historically, it was erotic fiction that was the corn for women.
Yeah.
And now they've just moved down the age.
It's a different level. Right?
Yeah. Okay, so I printed out some terms, and I want to see if these work, because you mentioned, look at the cover of the book and you can kind of tell.
Right.
There's one, icebreakers, I think is that one. And it looks really cartoony, totally explicit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
It looks cutesy for a child, right?
But the cover is so
lot
cute.
of 11-year-olds.
It really is. But it is
bright
so
colors.
A lot of 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds are like, yeah, like I've read this, or I'll see comments on YouTube videos about these books, and they'll be like, I read this when I was 12, and I'm like, how? Like,
what?
For me, I had to have a talk with my mom about this. I was like, Mom, this is what books are nowadays, because it's gotten so bad.
Okay, so along with looking at the cover, looking at reviews, here's some things. See, tell me if these terms, you've ever heard these on the back of a book. Enemies to lovers. Okay, so you have heard that term.
Yes.
So I learned that often means intense emotional tension, physical attraction used as a plot fuel, very common in modern romances such as A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Don't read it.
Don't read it.
Have you heard this term? Morally gray hero.
Yes,
yes,
that's just
I
a
have.
red flag, even beyond
Yeah, just-
spice.
That's just
a
a- as a person.
bad
Yeah.
morals, honestly.
They're
Yeah.
morally gray. So obsessive romance, it usually signals possessiveness framed as attraction, often adult relationship dynamics. What about, have you heard the term dark romance?
Ooh, those are
I
bad.
generally
not read those
assume that
either.
has so much spice because if it's dark romance,
It's toxic and spice.
It's
Yeah,
toxic.
we don't
Dark
want either.
romance, they get dark and it's like
Dark and
like
dirty.
it's bad.
Yeah.
It can be. I don't know if I'm allowed to say what words I'm allowed to say, but it gets to great
Wow. Okay.
and people enjoy it.
I don't know why.
And it's romanticized.
And
because
it's
it
romanticized.
sells.
So that usually implies explicit intimacy, power imbalance themes. Have you noticed these terms on the back of books?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So these are the
absolutely.
terms that you want to listen for.
Yeah.
How about forced proximity? Have you heard that one?
Yes.
Which is snowed-in cabins, shared beds, travel companions, a setup frequently used for romantic escalation.
Mm-hmm.
So
There
again,
are amount of like videos I've seen of people are like, I just hate when there's the only one room or only one bed at the inn trope and one sleeps on the floor. Like, what?
They should have shared a bed.
Like, what?
or they could have
Are you
morals.
Right. Are you married?
Are you married?
What?
How about mate bonds or fated mates?
That
Have you heard
sounds-
that term? Those
Yeah,
terms.
It'd
before?
be more fantasy,
Yeah.
werewolf,
Okay.
fairy. those
Where
are
characters are magically tied together romantically and they include sensual or explicit development later. Is that
Yep.
right? Okay. How about slow burn?
Yep.
Have you heard
Yeah.
that term?
That
Yes.
there's a climax at some point.
Okay, yeah. So parents assume safety because it sounds restrained, but in reality, it often leads to very intense payoff scenes, as you mentioned,
Yep.
towards
Yep.
the end or later. What about spicy or steamy? We
Yeah.
talked
Yeah.
about that.
Yep.
Usually means open door scenes, which, as it implies, it's open door. Oh,
You see
Um,
everything.
How about, have you seen this on the back of books? Touch her and die. You heard that
Yeah.
one?
I haven't heard it on the back of a book, but in books or
In
when
books.
you're
It's like,
on social media, they'll be like, "Oh, it's a touch her. If you touch her, you die." Trope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yes, for sure.
So it's a protective hero trope, often overlaps with possessive romance themes. Again, that possession, very unhealthy relationship. Obsessed with her.
Like I've seen this one book called Lights Out. Have you heard of it?
No.
Mm-mm.
I
It's
haven't.
basically this guy that I know of. I haven't read it, but falls in love with this girl by like just accidentally bumping into her and then stalks her because he is so obsessed with her and does things to her.
Right.
And it's a book that people enjoy reading.
Which is kind of
Another-
psycho.
Well,
Yeah.
another one. Sorry.
another one like that, I guess, is I haven't read it, but I've seen like synopsises of it. Is Haunting Adeline.
That one's
That one.
I've heard
It's really
Yeah.
bad. I have heard that the male love interest is a stalker,
Right.
stalks her, and then violence.
And then violence.
like
Ew,
right.
it gets to the point where it's just disgusting and people praise it and they're like, "Oh, it's so good." And
Because
I'm
it's romanticized, which even if you put aside the spice thing, it's just either way a toxic message to send to young girls about what love looks like.
like, right.
You know?
I wouldn't want that in real life. Like,
Right.
why are we
No.
romanticizing that? Like, cut off hands.
Right.
That's
That is
disgusting.
gross. That is gross. It's
Right.
gross.
I'd be terrified for my life if somebody
Yeah.
did that.
Which, so frequently adult content and obsession is framed as romance when it is not. Okay.
Mhm.
How about, have you heard chemistry you can feel? A marketing language signaling physical attraction emphasis. Have you heard that one, or is that
In
one?
reviews, yeah.
It's
Okay.
not
For
as
sure.
common
Yeah,
for me,
it's not
Okay.
as a common.
but
but-
definitely if you can feel it, that just is giving weird vibes.
Yeah, I feel like if you start reading the book and the chemistry and everyone's basically in love at the very beginning, you know the rest of the book's just gonna be
Right, because where's it going?
Where's
Right.
it going if you're already in love in chapter
Right.
2?
Yes.
Right.
Which is not Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet.
No. So it's a balance between like, are they already in love and it can only go to somewhere spicy, but also you don't want the slow burn either.
Right.
So
Slow burn is also bad.
how do you balance it? You know?
Okay. How about new adult? Have you heard that?
No.
That term? Okay.
I haven't.
Have you heard that one, Emily?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so apparently it's a major signal. College age characters, usually adult intimacy, for example, the fourth wing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you heard the term book talk sensation?
Yes.
Okay. Many viral recommendations emphasize emotional intensity or romance. It's not a trope, but a marketing clue. That
sadly, because spice is so popular, you're gonna find it you're gonna find these books being marketed on YouTube, TikTok, everywhere, and I wouldn't really trust.
I would never trust it.
Yeah, I've noticed a trend with book talk when it first started used to be book recommendations.
Mhm.
And now it's all sexualized tropes. That's it. So I would avoid book talk as your source of reviews just because their morals and what they look for and what sells is so skewed. It's not what you want. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the book description contains 3 or more of those phrases, my friends, vet it. Now, let's talk about, you can check reviews on Common Sense Media and Goodreads, although Goodreads, you have to read the reviews and it doesn't necessarily give you.
Through them, and it's not, you're
really
not going to get parents on there saying, don't let your kids read this. Because that's not,
the only time I ever trust reviews on Goodreads is if it's one of my friends' reviews that I trust.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they might have not even read that book yet, so you wouldn't know.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes it's hard to trust other people, because you don't know what their standard is.
Right.
Yeah, it is so different for each person.
Yeah. Description warning words. How about forbidden attraction? Do you hear that one?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Irresistible chemistry, dark romance,
So bad.
enemies to lovers, mate bond.
Yep.
Any of those. If you have 2 or more, investigate for. If you have 1, investigate it further.
Honestly.
Some of them aren't as bad as others, but
I've read some books that are clean with the word enemies to lovers, and it's
that's
good.
a trope. But
it's
definitely
in the minority.
It is.
Sure.
It's
Okay.
it's very not. What's the word? It's very hard to find a book of enemies to lovers or something like that. That's clean.
Right.
So you do have to do a lot. If you love a trope, besides dark romance, you're not going to get anything clean from there. That's just not possible. But if you like enemies to lovers, you have to do a ton of digging to find an actual clean and just solid book.
Okay.
Truly.
Yep.
So have you guys done this test where you flip 3/4 of the way through the book and open it there?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
I've been scarred.
I'll just say,
You've been scarred.
we were actually in Costco one time, and we're like, you know what? Let's see if this is true.
Right.
So we opened. Emily took Haunting Adeline, and she flipped it to a random page, and she's like, I found the hand scene.
Yep.
I found the hand
It's
scene.
here.
I went, no.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
So you want to look for detailed body descriptions, bedroom settings, sensory words,
Yep.
heat, breath, trembling.
Yeah, heat, breath, and trembling. Desire.
Ugh.
Very popular.
So what books then have you loved that have been like, this is a delightful story?
Right.
Without spice.
Without spice. I mean, obviously we've got Jane Austen. We have, for the most part, the Bronte sisters.
You usually can't go wrong with the classics for sure.
Yeah, definitely the classics.
Most likely don't. I don't think are that.
Although we'll see what they do to Wuthering Heights, what the movies do to it.
But it's really hard to find contemporary authors that actually write clean books. Shannon Hale's The Goose Girl is one of my favorite books.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
I love those ones.
It's based off a fairy tale. With that though, I wouldn't necessarily trust authors because while they might write one clean series, they can go down rabbit holes. With others.
Because I feel like Shannon Hale did that. Like, she wrote the Princess Academy series and the Books of Bayern series, and they're fabulous. And then kind of got a little bit darker in some of her other books, and so some of her other books are, not terrible, right? Not as bad as some do, but I was a little disappointed. I was like, oh, seriously,
come on, my girl.
Yeah, because I've loved her books.
No, me too. Sometimes authors will be like, okay, maybe I can get a book out there, and then once I'm published and famous, then I can start adding stuff. So you always have to be careful with authors.
Want something clean, want something different.
Right.
I have seen a couple posts about why don't authors make a clean version of their books, music artists have to make a clean version of the songs for the radio. And that's something because it's not necessarily that we don't want to read their books because they're stupid. It's because we don't want to read spice, and those Fourth Wing about dragons might sound super cool, but we don't want to read that stuff, and we don't want to skip those scenes and have those books on our shelves.
Right.
Well, and it's sad because there is a lack of people reading nowadays. So we want to get kids into literature, but they're gonna be more willing to if it's something they and their parents are comfortable with reading. So it's like, why can't we expose our kids to good literature without also exposing them to bad content? You know, like there has to be a separation of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about, what are some other books that you have loved? Have you read Daddy Longlegs?
I have not.
It was written in like early 20th century.
Oh,
so
Interesting.
good, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful story,
Yeah.
beautiful story.
Okay.
Or The Blue Castle, also written in the early 20th century,
By same author as Anne of Green
and
Gables.
by Elmont Montgomery.
Okay.
Also, like beautiful stories
Wow.
where I read those and I'm like, why do more?
I know. I love the
Kids'
Emily books by her. Emily of New Moon by Ellen Montgomery are some of my favorite books ever. And they have romance, but I like it better than the Anne of Green Gables.
Really?
romance
Wow.
Because it's not, I have a problem with, this is a little side story. I have a problem with he bullies her and then gets the girl. I think that's also a toxic thing.
Okay.
Absolutely. But the Emily Moon books don't even do that. So I just love those books.
I will say, he did apologize and try to make up.
Wing Feather Saga. Did you guys read that?
I didn't.
No, I didn't.
I've
I
heard
think it's
it's
on my
good.
list. I think it's on my list.
It is so good. It's
Yeah.
so good. Yeah, we actually listened to it on Audible in the car, and I listened with the kids, and there's not romance in it really. Per se.
Okay.
But by the fourth book, we had to pull over. We were driving home towards the end, and I had to pull over into a parking lot
Oh,
because we were all ugly crying.
Oh, that's so sad.
And
it was beautiful.
it was beautiful, but we're like snot, like
sobbing,
ugly
for sure.
sobbing, crying.
Yeah.
So that one, that's another series. Like the first book is hard to get into,
Okay.
but once you're into it, it's so
Oh,
good.
really? I love that.
So good. Other favorite books?
This is a very good one. The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyons.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
It is.
So
It's one of my favorites now. Like
Oh my
hands
goodness, I
down,
have
one of
to
my
check it
favorite
out.
series. It's so good.
The
There's
author
9
is writing
books.
book 8 or
Oh.
book 9.
So good.
They're short. Like
Okay.
they're getting a little bigger, but they're not like Keeper of the Lost
Okay,
Cities big.
okay.
They're like the first book is like 3 hours on Audible. So it's
Now,
not bad.
Keeper of the Lost Cities doesn't have spice.
No.
But
Correct.
it's so long.
But it's
a very long series. And if you're looking for a romance book, then I don't really recommend it because it's not based
Doesn't
off
go
of
anywhere.
romance. It's a fantasy book, which is great. It's how many? 11 books? 10? I think.
She's writing the 10th book, but so
Their
there's
book
10
is like
books, but then
500
there's like
pages.
book 9.5. They're huge books.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
the one thing I found about that series, because Katie and I were listening to that together as we were working on stuff. I do a lot of listening to books due to time. I didn't love how it made adults kind of look dumb. That bothered me.
Unfortunately, is a big trend in YA.
Yeah, and I think
Just
it's,
YA, they're always going to go against their parents. Unfortunately, I don't know that I could recommend a YA book where it's not like, oh, I couldn't do what my parents said because the world was at stake or whatever. Like that's dumb. Is a trend in YA literature.
Mhm.
And I think, especially if you're not going to have the climax or excitement of spice, the climax or excitement is adventure and going against your parents. So, yeah.
which makes me wonder, is that part of the destruction of the family? You know,
Right.
is that let's make the parents look dumb. Let's
Right.
make the kids go against their
Right.
parents, which is not healthy.
No.
You know, versus, you know, somebody like Anne of Green Gables, where she comes to love Marilla and Matthew.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
keep referring back to classics, but there's so many good
Come
ones.
on.
Okay, what do you have?
So, have you guys ever heard of the author Robin Jones Gunn?
No.
No. Tell me.
So, I used to read all of her books. She's a Christian author, and her books, she's really good at writing,
Okay.
and she involves Jesus in all her books. And there's the Christy Miller series,
Okay.
and it's a romance beach vibe, but they all love Jesus, and they like worship together, and it's so cute. There's like way too many books. There's like 12,
Okay.
and it keeps going until she gets into college and she falls in love with this guy. And they're both, like I said, they love Jesus, super clean, and she grows in her relationship with Jesus. And it's a really cool story, as well as being super clean. I loved it. So I do recommend that series.
Nice.
Well, and that's actually a good point. If you want something that's like a fail-safe, look up Christian authors.
Absolutely.
It is, you know, you still want to look up, like, is this a well-written book? Because unfortunately, Jesus isn't like, boom.
Yeah,
all
because
the time
sometimes
for everyone. But if you're looking for just objectively clean books, start with Christian authors.
Yes, absolutely.
Another book series that I love, and this is a little younger, but I still really love reading it. I think my mom enjoyed the first book, but it's called The False Prince.
Oh, that was
I
so
love
cool.
those books. I love those books.
By Jennifer Anderson. It's
10 out of 10.
could both be for both boys and girls.
Oh, yeah.
That's
No,
a good
it's
point,
delightful.
too. That's a good point,
It's
too.
a delightful
Yeah,
story.
I
It's
love those
so
books.
good.
Absolutely.
What's the last bit of advice that you would give as teens talking to parents and young adults? Because
Right.
that's what you are. What bit of advice would you give them when looking for books for their kids?
For their kids.
For their 11 or 12-year-old daughters, their middle school kids. What would you say? What could they look for?
I'd say look up the books.
Do a lot of research.
Always.
Yeah, research is just
But also, if you're very concerned, I'd read the book before you beforehand.
Yeah.
That way, you know what your child is reading.
it's a good
Yeah,
point.
definitely.
And I'd say always just have open discussion and being like, hey, this book, I know your friends are talking about this, like, this doesn't go with our family values. And just have open discussion about that so your kids feel like they can talk to you about what they're reading, I think is important. Because it's so easy for it to slip in. And if you're not talking to your kids about what they're reading, they'll just, it'll fly past you. So I think just really open discussion with what you want your kids reading and what they are consuming. So it's all out in the open.
Love that. What do you think, Emily?
So I have some advice for the young adults who want to read romance books. When you're reading a romance book or trying to look for some and you see one, you're like, oh, it has some spice, it's fine, I'll skip over it. That I used to do that and it just doesn't go well because then you just become used to it and you're like, yeah, it's fine. It's okay that it's in there.
Right.
When in reality, it's not okay. And so just don't start with that.
Don't even go
just
there.
Don't even go there.
Yeah.
Just stick to your clean books. Even if it's a book you really want to read, just don't do it. It's not good it's not healthy.
And it gets you thinking about it anyways.
Right.
Even if you're like, oh, I'll skip over it. Like, that's your brain still getting used to that idea and that concept and then normalizing it for you. So that's really good point.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. And
It's
half
not.
the time, these books aren't even good anyways. Like, they're
Right.
writing, like, their writing is just spice, and that's what everybody's hyped about. It's not the actual story.
Right.
Absolutely. So the writing is trash too because it's just about the spice.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Well, girls, thank you. So, ladies, thank you so much for coming and chatting today about spice in books. Moms and dads, we have to be vigilant about what our children are reading. And that means that we do have to put in some work and we do have to make the efforts as we are trying to find good literature for our kids. Classics are always the default.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Always the default. But mamas and papas, grandmas and grandpas, you are doing so much better than you think you are. You've got this. We will talk next week.